as a financial advisor, what's one of the big mistakes that I see people make that keep them from retiring early? Let's watch this short from Your Rich BFF to find out more.
Speaking of sacrifices, a lot of folks in their 50s and 60s sacrifice their own retirements to help their kids pay for school or buy a home. Don't do that. They can take a loan out, but you can't borrow money for retirement. Your kids have time on their side, but you don't have that luxury, and you may think you're helping them, but if you can't fund your own retirement, they'll end up paying for it.
Yeah, she's absolutely right, and I see this, right? As she says, there are loans to buy a house, there are loans to go back to graduate school, but one of the best gifts that we can give our kids is for us to be financially independent and for us to enjoy our lives. And we only have one youth of our senior years, and we want to take full advantage of it. You know what? Your kids are going to be fine. Your parents probably didn't help you like that. Your kids will be okay too. Would you like to retire early? If so, one of the things we all have to think about is which accounts will pull our living expenses from. Let's watch this short clip by Money Guy Show and see what they say.
Maybe I want to leave it 55 or maybe even 50. You better understand how you're going to pay for your living expenses at that time, because we know 401ks, I can't get to that money if I leave before 55 till 59 and a half. IRAs, can't get to it till 59 and a half. So you need to understand how you're going to bridge that gap. Well, one of the best ways to bridge that gap is an after-tax account. So having that after-tax bucket, what it's really going to provide is flexibility later in life. And that's all we're trying to do.
Okay, great advice. We need to have a bucket that gives us flexibility. I think it's important to have 3 buckets: a regular IRA, regular 401k, a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, and the third bucket is an after-tax account, a normal taxable account, so we have access to money when we choose to retire. Do you have money just sitting in your bank account and you're wondering if there's a better way to invest it? Let's watch this short clip by Dave Ramsey and see what he recommends.
And have that money just sitting in the bank. And with interest rates expected to rise and inflation going through the roof, where should we invest that money for the next 5 years? We want to have it, available when we're ready to buy out of state.
Yeah.
But
if it were me, I would put a portion of it, if not all of it, in just a simple index fund, an S&P 500 fund. Okay? Now, what that is a fund that follows the stock market exactly.
Okay, so Dave's a fan of a simple index. You notice that the caller mentioned that she has 5 years until she needs the money. If you've only got 1 to 3 years, putting that money and exposing it to the stock market might be riskier. But if you've got 5 years or preferably even 7, having some exposure to the stock market probably makes sense. What are the worst states to retire in?
Now let's get into the worst states to retire in. They are North Dakota, California, Washington, New York, and Alaska. The top 5 states are all in the Midwest or South, while the 5 worst states to retire in are in the Northeast and West, where it's more expensive to live. So when you're on a fixed income in retirement, that could be stressful.
Okay, that's true. We have to factor in what it costs to live in various places. For some of us, the availability and the choice to move to a lower cost state could mean the difference between retiring now and having to work an extra 3, 4, 5 years. So there's no right or wrong answer for any of us, but thinking about what's the cost of living, what are the factors that are important to us, and avoiding those places that for us we won't enjoy living in is important. Look, I'm a big fan of 401ks, particularly to get the free money from your employer's match, but not everybody's a fan of 401ks. Let's listen to Chris Crone and see why he does not like 401ks.
I think 401ks suck because it's been shoved down everyone's throat. Look, it's not hard to see that if the government is forcing an option onto you, it probably sucks. Even the data shows that 401ks and IRAs won't help you retire comfortably. You'll likely need to work another 10 to 15 years to make it. After doing thousands of real estate deals where we absolutely crush the stock market, mutual funds, and pensions, I know there are better options.
Okay, so Chris is a real estate guy, and he's done well in real estate. And real estate in general has done well for the last 10 or 20 years. So is real estate an option in addition to 401ks? Absolutely, for the right people. Is it a match for everybody? Not necessarily, but I wanted you to see both the pros and the cons. Ready to be surprised? What's the most popular state to retire in? Let's watch and find out.
am I to discover that retirees are settling in Alaska. Alaska may be cold, but it is beautiful. More importantly, by almost every measure, the Washington Post notes that Alaskans pay the lowest taxes in America. There's no state income tax, sales, state tax, and seniors get a healthy break on property taxes. They may need to crank up those heaters all day, but they have spare money to pay for those electric bills.
Okay, so it turns out Alaska is one of the most popular states to retire in. You know, I would think with 6 months of the year, with it being so dark, most of the time that would be a tough place to live and so cold, but it definitely is beautiful. And not only does Alaska have all of those tax benefits, but they also have an oil fund where citizens of the state of Alaska can actually get paid money to live in Alaska. So what does it take to save $2 million for retirement? Let's watch this short by CNBC and find out.
Starting when you're 25 puts you ahead of the game. You'll need to invest 12% of your income, or $1,004 per month, to retire with $2 million. Investing when you're 35 means putting away around $2,000 per month, or close to $24,000 annually. If you wait until you're 45 to start saving, the numbers get much steeper.
Okay, so you notice there, if you start at 25, it was basically $1,000 a month. At 35, it's basically $2,000 a month. And at 45, if you wait to start then, you got to start saving double that, so it's $4,000. So either $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, or $4,000 a month. None of those are easy to do, but it does show the impact of time. Time is one of our most important assets, both for saving as well as enjoying life. I want to see you enjoy the full youth of your senior years, so take full advantage of the time that you have. How much money are Americans saving for retirement? Ready to be surprised? Let's watch this short by Economics Explained and find out more.
In the US, for example, the median American retirement account is estimated to hold just over $70K, with 25% of Americans having less than $50K and 16% of Americans having no retirement savings at all.
Okay, so obviously we're not doing a good enough job saving for retirement. We do what we can. And I know this is aspirational, but unfortunately, as a financial advisor for over 20 years, I think the 10% rule, save 10% of what you earn and you'll be okay. Unfortunately, I think we need to do more than that, because now most of us don't have pensions. We'll have Social Security. For many of us, that will be taxed. And then the next source is really the money that we save. So it's aspirational, but I think try to save 20% if possible. Are you curious what happens if you ask your bank to access your 401k early? Let's watch this super serious short and find out.
Sorry, I don't understand.
The money that I've been depositing every week for the last 20 years into my 401k, I would like to have it.
By cashing out your account before retirement, you'll be forfeiting nearly half your money. It's just not recommended.
And what is retirement age?
65.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that money.
Okay, obviously this is a silly clip from a movie, but there are penalties in place, obviously, for 401ks. And the government does that because they want us to think twice before we access the 401k. And there are ways to get your money early. One is you can get a loan, but it's important to know, if you get a loan from your employer's 401k, that if you leave, that loan can be called and due immediately. So be careful. Why do I tend to not be a fan of the FIRE movement, financially independent, retire early? It's because people give up a lot, and they give up the youth of their youth. Let's watch Adam Bourne from Parallel Wealth to learn more.
Now, here's my issue with early retirement and the whole FIRE movement. Like, I'm going to retire at 40 and then just live forever. 35, people have retired in their 20s even. The problem I have with that is you go through a period of time, pre-retirement, where you're sacrificing everything. Your life from 25 to 45 is save every dime, don't spend any money, and live in a box.
Okay, and I don't want you to live in a box. I want you to take not just full advantage of the youth of your senior years, but more importantly, I want you to take advantage of the youth of your youthful years, your 20s and your 30s. I don't want to see you give that up, because we only have that once. So go out there and take full advantage of the youth of your youth.